Whether I'm your favorite cup of tea or not, you're obviously here. So sit down, because today we are spilling the tea. You guys, welcome back to the opinion you didn't ask for. I'm Hannah, and today is the day that I have been waiting for. The day that I don't have to just give my opinions unsolicited, but the day that I give the opinions you have been wanting. So welcome to the first of hopefully many episodes of the opinion you did ask for. All right, we're going to start it off with one that, I'm not going to lie, I had to ask someone what it was because I didn't know. Because it's talking about SMUT. If I have given the impression that I read books, I apologize. Truly, I apologize. I'm not a reader, guys. I am a visual learner. I am a movies and TV shows kind of girl. If you write a book and then someone turns it into a movie, I can watch that, but there will be zero chance of me reading that book. So this one, I was already starting out with a loss, okay? So it says SMUT, SMUT, had no idea what that was, so I had to ask, had to phone a friend. And it says, studies prove it has the same effects on a woman's brain as visual porn does on men's. Can't believe people read it so casually and publicly. The double standard is crazy. So this may be an unpopular opinion. This may ruffle some feathers. I am just going to give it to you how I feel. I have a sister who reads these books. I have a sister-in-law who reads these books. I have many of people on my social media, whether it was people I knew from high school or college or just randomly throughout life, that they post about books. I couldn't tell you one name of one of these books. I cannot recall one of these books. However, I know that they read them. And so I have thought about this submission because I think it's so easy to try to find equal comparisons. Like, oh, these books that are lustful and inappropriate and causing you to have feelings of arousal, right? Versus like men viewing porn. So here's my opinion on it. I don't think that there's anything wrong with these books if they are not causing a woman to step out of her marriage or to step out of her relationship and to have an affair or to be thinking of another man while pleasuring herself or while being pleasured by her husband and she's thinking of someone that is not him. Okay, there we can agree that that's not healthy. However, from the people that I know who have read these books and from some online groups I'm a part of that often talk about these kind of books and these situations, I don't think a lot of women are doing that. I feel like for a lot of women, this has almost reignited the spark in the bedroom because they read this and then they want to almost like reenact it or replay it with their spouse. They want to bring that spiciness from their book with these random characters into their bedroom. However, men viewing porn, that's not usually the case. A man is not usually like, let me watch this to get some ideas to take to the bedroom with my wife. Like, I do not feel like they are on the same level. You can disagree. I do not care. This is how I feel. I feel like porn is never used as encouragement, as an idea for what you should do with your spouse. I feel like it's a very selfish thing. I feel like it is a very self-pleasuring thing. I feel like if you're viewing porn, it's because you don't want to have that physical intimacy with your partner. It's because you don't want to be in reality. You want to be in some fantasy land. But I also think it makes you a beta male, like I think, or a beta person, I guess, depending on who's viewing it. But for the most part, I think the studies have proven men view porn more often. And I'm a woman and I'm married to a man. So in my world, that is how I guess, talk. But I do not think that a man is a strong, dominant, leading man who's viewing porn and most likely getting off on that and then coming home to a woman who has probably been cooking and cleaning and taking care of kids and doing all of these things. And instead of pleasuring her and instead of wanting to have that intimacy with her, he's already gotten it for himself. He's already taken care of that aspect. So of course the aspect of their marriage is going to struggle. Of course there's going to be a disconnect. Of course there's going to be a physical block because he is removing her from intimacy. And I also don't feel like that there are a lot of women who are encouraging their partners to go view porn. However, for a fact, I know my brother-in-law has told my sister to go read her book, to go take a bath, to go chill and hang out. He's encouraged that. And if that book were a problem in their marriage, I highly doubt he would be encouraging that. So yes, I do think that there is a level of what isn't appropriate in your marriage. You are allowed to decide for yourselves what works for your relationship. But I don't think that a book and characters in a book who are maybe doing slightly intimate things is cheating or is doing as much harm on the brain as porn. I just don't think that those are equal comparisons. So I guess you just have to draw the line for yourselves. You have to figure that out. But I do not personally agree that the, 50 Shades of Grey style books are doing as much damage. So for me, the line with these types of books is if it replaces sex with your partner, your spouse, it's bad. If it leads to more sex, better communication, a more spicy love life, then it's not bad. As long as you have set those boundaries with your partner, as long as they are on board, you are on board, then I don't think that there is any problem with them, as long as it's within the bounds of your marriage, your relationship, and you're not fantasizing about someone else, that you're not bringing a different person into your relationship, because that is crossing a whole other boundary with marriage and affairs and all of that. But also, if you have read those books or you tried to read those books because everyone else around you is reading them and you felt uncomfortable, that is okay. You are allowed to not like them. You are allowed to feel like they are not appropriate for your life, but you're not allowed to judge someone else's life based on how you felt. Am I a doctor? No. Do I do research on people's brains? Absolutely not. Do I have opinions? Absolutely. So, take that as you will. Okay? There's my 2 cents on that. Whether you agree or disagree, it's my opinion, so it doesn't really matter to me. Anyway, all right, we're moving on to a topic that... Also, I am so grateful for everyone that submitted, whether I agree with your opinion or not, whether you like the answer I give to the situation you submitted or not. I just want to thank you so much for trusting me with this and for wanting my opinion and for, finding value in what I say, or hopefully this does help. I honestly pray that it will help someone in some situation, whether you're the one that submitted it or not. Maybe you're going through something that you did not want anyone to know about and someone else is going through it and they submitted it. Truly, that is my hope. And this is also, whether it's past, present, future possibilities of what may happen, submit it. If you already did the thing and you're like, did I handle this the right way? Or how would you have handled this because I did this? What would you have done? I love it all. Give it to me. Nothing is a bigger compliment to me than you asking for my advice or for you asking for my opinion on a situation. It honestly brings me more joy than you could ever know. So I just want to throw that in there. Thank you so much. Okay, this one says, when I was 2 weeks postpartum, which, postpartum, that's a journey. When I was 2 weeks postpartum, my mother-in-law was concerned I was taking advantage of, air quoted by the way, my husband because he took my baby to the 2-week checkup. Also, I was home and sick with COVID, hence why I didn't take the baby. I've had a few conversations over text about it, and it's been 6 months, but my feelings are still hurt. Okay, valid. Of course your feelings are still hurt because A, hormones, and B, who says that? Okay? Who says that? Mother-in-laws, mind your business. Stay in your lane. Could be its own podcast, honestly. Here are my thoughts on this. I don't feel like there is ever an appropriate thing to say to a 2-week postpartum mom, whether it is their first baby or their 4th, 12th, 20th baby, okay? Unless it is, you look beautiful, what can I do for you? Just don't talk. If you are not offering help, no one wants your advice in that moment, okay? We are so overwhelmed with this new baby. We do not need to hear your advice. We don't need to hear how you would do it. We are married to the kid you raised. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm still trying to retrain him. Once again, stay in your lane. So, with that being said, I feel like there are a few situations of how to go about this, right? Like, how close are you with your mother-in-law? Are these comments often being said in a passive-aggressive way and they have never been called out? Have you asked your spouse, is he aware that this is going on? So I think that would be my first advice is, if you're comfortable, if you have a relationship with your mother-in-law that you can, whether it's through text or a phone call or in person, just say, hey, I know you have good intentions. I appreciate all that you've done for us. I love you so much. I know it's probably my hormones and maybe I took it wrong, but when you said this, that really hurt my feelings, and I just want to make sure that you're aware, and going forward, hopefully we can avoid this, right? Now, if you do not have a close relationship with your mother-in-law and she's making comments like that when you're postpartum, I personally feel that it is your spouse's job to step in first. And I say first because if it continues, then you get to go. You get to go in guns blazing, okay? But I would say start gentle. Have her child, the one she raised and thinks she did such a perfect job with, have him go and say, hey, Mom, this was brought up. I heard that you made this comment to her. A, way out of line, not appropriate. And B, we're just not going to make comments like that. Like, I am a fully capable dad. I brought these kids into this world. Well, I got to do the fun part of bringing these kids into this world. She did the hard part, okay? I am more than capable of helping out. I am more than capable. I should be taking them to doctor's appointments, whether it's your first or 50th kid, okay? He's the dad. He should be actively helping. And if he is able to take them, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he at least be going to the appointments with you, even if you didn't have COVID? Okay, if you had a nail appointment, you just carried a baby for 9 months and pushed that thing out of you, and now you are keeping that thing alive. Go get your hair done. Go to the spa. That man can take that baby to the doctor's appointment, okay? He just can. So the mother-in-law should then be put in her place very, very nicely in a respectful-ish way. Ish. I say ish because the girl made the comment, okay? She did dig her grave in that moment. Now, whether she wants to be resurrected out of that grave, that's on her. But given the option to get out of the grave, that's where we're at right now, is we're giving her the option. And then if those comments persist. So I am curious as to what the text messages have been. But if your feelings are still hurt, I think, my opinion, hello, once again, this is my podcast. This is my episode. This is my opinion, is if your feelings are still hurt, then there is still going to be built up tension. There is still going to be resentment for her and for the comment that was made, which rightfully so. Okay, I get that some of these women are still living in 1950 and they cook and they clean and they have a meal on the table for their spouse to come home and kick up his feet in the recliner. Okay, I get it. That is how some women think, and wives should be quiet. My husband doesn't know what a quiet day even sounds like in this house, okay? But there are some mother-in-laws, mothers who think that a wife's job is to please her husband in the ways he deems necessary, and she does everything else. False. We are in 2025. That is not what happens anymore. And I know that because my parents came to visit one weekend, and my dad and I went to the grocery store, and there was a dad and 2 little kids. He was pushing them in the cart. And my dad's first comment was, "It must be his weekend." And I looked at my dad and I was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Well, he's alone with the kids. Like, it must be his weekend." And I was like, heaven forbid a father takes his children to the grocery store. Do you know what that woman at home who had those kids is probably going through? She might have another one at home, the baby, who the husband was just taking the other 2 out of the house to give a break for. Or you know what? They might not have any more kids, and she needed a nap. A nap. The woman maybe needed to take a shower with no one peeking through the curtain, okay? Dad, what do you mean that you immediately think that that man is divorced and it is his weekend with his kids because a single man was at the grocery store with 2 kids? It's honestly as if dads are not as involved, and they weren't. My dad was not very involved with my childhood growing up, okay? So that is how a lot of the older generation, love these boomers, that is how they view fatherhood, because they were not that involved as fathers. My children will never know what life is like to not wake up and have their dad home 24/7. My husband works from home. Biggest blessing in my life. Truly the only reason we had a 3rd baby, because I was like, I will not do a 3rd kid by myself. Just won't do it. When my 3rd one was born, my husband was holding him as like a 2-week-old during meetings because it's virtual and he didn't even have to have his camera on, okay? And he's holding this newborn during meetings. That is the world my kids live in, that their dad is home for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He puts them to bed. I mean, he cooks all our meals, let's be real. So I'm like, my mother-in-law could be like, my son deserves to marry a wife who cooks. I'm like, sorry, Heather, that didn't happen because I don't cook. But thankfully, he loves to cook, and that is what he finds joy in, and he loves being a dad. So why are we putting men in this box of, you're taking advantage of him? Well, he took advantage of me, and that's how I got put in this situation. So once again, stay in your lane. So I don't know if that helped. I hope that helped. My advice would be to clear the air. If you're still upset, you tell her. Pull her aside. Call her on the phone if you don't want to look her in the face. Probably don't do it through text message because sometimes older people, however old they may be, they read things wrong and then they may take it and they might decide to be offended, heaven forbid. So I think it's very important to make it in a place that they cannot misconstrue what was being said. You can't be like, it was yelling because you put a period instead of an exclamation point. I'm an exclamation point girly because that's how I talk. It's joyful. If I'm putting exclamation points, I'm happy. I'm talking nice. If I put periods in that text message, I am very unhappy. If there is a period after a sentence, not good. Not good for anyone. So you never know how someone is going to take something. So you need to make sure they are very aware of your intent and of the outcome you want. Because if they think you're just trying to nitpick, that just gives them more ammo. So if you're able to say, hey, that's not an appropriate comment. He is more than capable to take our baby to the doctor's office, whether I am sick or not, whether I am sick at home with his other children or not. I deserve to be able to have a break if I need a break. So there you have it. And if it continues, then let it all out. You go in raging hot, okay? Please record it. I can't wait to see it. I live for moments. I live for moments of people getting called out on their poor behavior. Okay? I'd love it. Love to see someone get put in their place. So, be respectful if you can, but at the same time, if they don't respect you, you do not have to remain as respectful. You can stand firm. You can say what is and isn't appropriate. You can set those boundaries, and I think boundaries are so healthy. Boundaries are so important. If you set boundaries with whoever, your in-laws, your own family, your neighbors, your friends, whoever it may be, set the boundary of how you will be spoken to, how things in your family, this may not be how it worked in your family. This is what works in our family. He isn't complaining. I don't know why you are. Okay? Okay, next. Okay, this one said, how to approach not liking, and then in parentheses put, rather despising your best friend's significant other. Which, oof, this is a heavy one. This one's heavy. So I asked a follow-up question because she did not submit it anonymously, and so I figured she was okay with me knowing who it was. So I was like, do you mind me asking? I even said, do you mind me asking? Share what you want to share. Feel free to ignore this and not answer at all. But I asked why she despised them. I mean, which you're allowed to have your opinions on anybody, but I wanted to know, is there an abusive situation going on? Is it more gaslighting? Is it, what level are we on with why you dislike them? Or are they just rude to you? Or have they kind of just cut you off because of this partner and maybe you took it more personal, kind of a thing? There's different levels of why. And so thankfully she messaged back and just said, he's very disrespectful to everyone, but mostly her and her family. He calls names. He's always in a bad mood, complains about everything, can't hold a job. They've had multiple restraining orders against each other. And they also have a child. And that child is being put all of this through, which I have an opinion on. If you are in a toxic relationship and you can't stand each other half the time and then you're love bombing each other the other half, that is fine. You do your toxicity. You live with those red flags all over the place. Do not bring a child into that. They did not ask to be brought into this situation. If you can't get your guys' crap together, that should not warrant a baby being brought in. Babies, newsflash, here's an opinion. No situation has a baby made a relationship better. Okay? It just hasn't. If you're having marital problems, if you're having relationship problems, if you keep going back and forth with the same person and you're like, maybe a baby will make us fall more in love. No, it won't. And then that poor child is going to be dragged through the mud and have to pick a side, be from a split home. Nobody wants that, okay? So if you can avoid it, do. So I already feel for this poor kid. I feel so sad for him and that he is having to live through this. If you've had to have multiple restraining orders against each other, okay, by law, I think the police should just be like, you cannot get back together. The end. Like, can that be a thing? Please, can we start that to be a law? I might start a petition. That if you need a restraining order against the person you're with, ultimate red flag, ultimate big X above their name, just no go. Okay. Now to be the friend who is having to witness this, that sounds horrendous. And I feel so bad because that is terrible, because you want to be there for your friend. You want to be that rock and that support and that shoulder to cry on when things ultimately will go downhill. It will end terribly. But how long is it going to take? And that's also exhausting to be the friend, because how much energy and time can you possibly give to someone who does not want to change, who clearly keeps going into the same toxic cycle and they can't get out of it? And what's hard is that I feel like there's pros and cons, right? You, as the best friend, can say, what are you doing? You're an idiot. Leave. He is trash. He is terrible for you. You two are not good together. You are making an unhealthy situation for you, for your child. Remove yourself from this and I promise things will get better, right? Like, you want to do that. But at the same time, you worry, if you do that, are they going to push you away? And are they going to stay almost to spite you, to be like, I'm going to prove you wrong. He's not that bad. You just hate everybody. You're wrong, right? Like, there's the double-edged sword. You don't know how they're going to take it. And I've seen a few TikToks recently where these daughters will say, hey, Dad, I'm going to tell you about this guy I'm dating. I want you to tell me, if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And they're just describing their dad's traits to see what the dad would say if it's a red flag or a green flag about this, new boyfriend that the girl has that she doesn't actually have. She's just describing her father. I almost feel like you have to do that with this friend. Like, I have to tell you about this friend I have, or this boy I'm dating, or this person that I work with. I'm going to tell you all these crazy things that they do, and their relationship that they're always bringing into the office and talking about, or, whatever it may be, and almost put it as a third party situation and let your friend be like, holy cow, that's crazy. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe she'd be so stupid to stay with someone like that. And maybe frame it in that way. And then when you get to the end, just be like, I literally just described everything that you have gone through the last year or 2 or 3 or however long this toxic relationship has been going on. Because, they have to see it. I see horror stories of like, if you do not get out of these situations, you may not survive them, like physically might not live through them. And that is a terrifying thing to think, right? Like, this woman has a baby. She has someone who is depending on her. You do not need to put her in a situation. She doesn't need to put herself in a situation that could potentially harm her own life or her child's life. And just cut your losses. Just be like, okay, we were not good together. We made something beautiful together. This baby boy is amazing. Love him. I thank you for him. I will always love part of you because he is part of you. But we need to find people that are good for us. We need to find people that make us want to be better. And I think that that's just so hard. And it might just take you honestly stepping away, telling the friend, hey, I love you, but I'm going to have to love you from afar for a little bit because I am scared for you and I am anxious for you. And I feel like you are not trying to help you and I have tried to help you. And I think that I need to just take a step back and let you make the decision you're going to make so that, you can't blame me in the future going forward for what is happening. But just for the record, I want to say, do not, whatever you do not leave her. Do not isolate yourself from her. Maybe try to isolate yourself from that situation of her toxic relationship, but don't isolate her as your friend, because that is what this partner, that is what this guy will want. He will want everyone in her life who loves her to leave her so that she is relying and dependent on him, so that he's the one picking up the pieces and he's the good guy. Even when he is the problem, he is the walking red flag. He is the tragedy in her life. If everyone leaves her because of him, he will win and he will take her down with him. So do not, whatever you do not abandon her, but maybe set boundaries on what you want to talk about within the relationship for your mental health as the friend, but allowing her to talk about it if it's needed. If she knows she can talk to you about the horrible things that he's done and maybe even open up about more things that she hasn't talked about or that she was too embarrassed or afraid or ashamed to say, be the safe space for her to talk about, because she's obviously telling you for a reason. She wants to leave. She just might not know how to leave, and her being able to open up and talk to you about it is the first step in the ability to remove herself. I was actually in a relationship, a brief one, that was beyond toxic and very unhealthy, which I will talk about more one day. But my mom was so worried that I was going to end up marrying this guy who sucked. Okay, hindsight's 2020. I wanted to save him. I was like, man, I am the girl for the job. Like, he needs Jesus. He needs saved. I've got this. Like, I am going to fix him. That's not healthy. That doesn't usually end up working out well for the person trying to fix them. The person who's trying to get fixed, they get a lot out of it because they almost get to walk all over you and take advantage of you because they see you're trying to give. But thankfully, because I'm a stubborn girl, thick skull over here. Thankfully, my mom said nothing. She said nothing. And it was funny because she told me after I got out of the situation and actually met my husband, and while we were dating, and how happy we were and how happy I was, and just I was lighter and more alive. And she was like, I was terrified every day that you were going to end up marrying him, and your life was going to be awful. She's like, but I knew if I jumped in that you would fight harder to prove me wrong. And I'm so grateful for that because she's probably not wrong. Or at least I would have ended up going further down than I needed to. It would have just taken more of my life, more of my energy, more of my happiness. I would have given more of myself to that person before realizing how toxic and unhealthy and tragic the situation truly was. And I was able to take a step back and see it now for what it was, which was terrible. But in the moment, I was just trying to make him better. I was just trying to fix him and help him be the person I knew he wanted to be. And no, why do we like the red flags? Why do we like the bad boys who are so disrespectful, who are so toxic? What is wrong with us? I think it's the TV shows we watched as kids. Okay, we watched these bad boys with the good girl. Don't get me started on One Tree Hill. I could be here for 17 years. Love the show. Nathan Scott changed. It's fine. But that situation, they don't always change. And they don't always want to change. They just want to drag you down with them. And so, as the friend, you almost need to decide, do you want to sit her down and point out every red flag he has? Or do you want to say, I love you so much, I need to take a step back from my own mental health, and please let me know when you're ready to accept my opinions on him, when you're ready to realize what we have all been telling you, because we love you. We don't want you to be sad. We don't want you to be hurt. We don't want this toxic thing in your life. But also maybe ask her, how would you respond if that was your son? How would you respond if that was your daughter? Would you want them to stay in a situation that you're currently staying in? Because I think that wakes a lot of people up. When there are kids involved, you want to give your kid a better life. You want your kids to have more than you had, to have healthier relationships than you've had. That's what you want. Everyone wants better than what for their loved ones than they've had for themselves. That's very natural. Maybe she needs to see it as, don't save yourself for yourself. Save yourself from this guy for your kid. Hopefully that'll help. Hopefully that'll wake her up. You know, we've all been there. We've all done things that our families and friends don't agree with. But if they love us enough and if they've been supportive as long as they can and they come to a breaking point, you have to ask yourself, is this person really worth losing everyone who actually does love and support me? Okay. Solid question. Just ask it. All right, I got one that said, I would love to hear your opinion on the secret lives of Mormon wives. And I'm going to be so honest right now. I have never seen one episode, which some of you might be like, lies, she has. No, 110% I have not. I don't even know why I haven't, if we're being totally honest, because I love reality TV. I love trash TV. I do. I love it. But I have never seen an episode, and I think because when it was coming out and there were all these ads for it on Instagram and it was being shoved in my face, and you know what? I feel like I get the gist of the show through TikTok and Instagram. I feel like they share enough reels and posts about it that I'm like, I don't need to waste my time watching that. I think I got a brief summary going on of every single person's personality. I don't follow any of them on social media. I don't know half their names, if we're being honest, but I do know some of the situations that have unfolded. But I think for me, their air quote friendships, their whatever they are to each other, is so toxic and so unhealthy and not genuine friendships, not real relationships with each other. It's basically who can one up the next person, who can take the lead, who's the it girl, who, you know, whatever, all that stupidness. But I think it honestly is really triggering for me because of kind of friendships that I had growing up and situations that I've had throughout my life with friendships that it almost gives me PTSD in a way of some of these behaviors and some of the things that have happened on the show from what I have seen on social media, that I'm like, I don't think I need to bring that energy into my life. That is some bad juju. I don't need that juju. Thanks, but no thanks. So, I mean, I guess we'll see. If enough of you told me I needed to watch it because you just needed my opinion on a certain situation that happened throughout the show, or if you're like, no, Hannah, you need to watch it because we need this from you, okay, I'd pray about it. All right, I would see if the Lord really needed that to be in this podcast. I don't know. I don't know where I'm at with that. All right, I have survived not watching, I think they're on their 3rd season now. I have survived not watching 3 seasons. I think I'm good for the rest of my life, but never say never, okay? You never know. All right, we are going to end with, I have more submissions, and I have to obviously keep some of them for the next episode, and please keep submitting them, keep giving them to me. I cannot wait. But I'm going to end by reading this submission, and I will be giving the answer to it on the next episode because it goes so well with what I have been wanting to talk about and something that I feel is really important in the world we live in and the experiences I've had throughout my life, that this is an opinion that I have really strongly of, and I've contemplated not sharing it or sharing it because I don't ever want to hurt people's feelings. And my husband has told me that I sometimes am too vague in examples in some of my episodes, but I told him it's because I'm worried someone is going to be offended by something I say, or I'm worried that the person who did the thing I'm talking about is going to know I'm talking about them and they are going to take it personal. But you know what? I don't actually care anymore. This is my podcast. If they are offended, I mean, so be it. It might be something they needed to hear. Maybe it's something they didn't know that they had done, or they just don't ever have to tune in again, okay? You have the choice to not listen. I have the choice to say how I feel. This is my therapy. It's free, okay? Just, I'm doing my best over here. So it says, I had a friend of 8 years, always felt like I put forth more of the effort. She wasn't there for me through some hard times. Then one day I get a long text about how I'm flaky and not as close to her. Like, of course, I'm not. You weren't there for me. I never responded to the text. I'd love to know what Hannah would have done. She goes, also, after I never responded, she blocked me on Instagram, but now she's liking my stuff on Facebook. So not sure what that means. Yeah, girl, me neither, but we're going to discuss it next week.